Hello travellers, Jay here. Welcome to my first official build guide, and probably the only one for quite a while. This is Turbo Smite, the build I'm probably most known for playing. It was actually created by a friend of mine called Jimg, so really a lot of the credit goes to him. He showed me it, and I've been playing it for the past 2.5 patches maybe. It's probably my all-time favourite build. The gameplay you're seeing here is at 495 corruption, just to put into perspective how strong this is. It absolutely blasts. It's one of the fastest builds I've played. It's got the Autobomber playstyle, so you're just walking through enemies and they're exploding around you. It's got huge damage, huge leech, good movement speed. It did used to be faster back a couple patches ago because Devouring Orb used to give us movement speed, a lot more movement speed, and was a lot more worthwhile to run. But now we run Sigils just because we need to be a little thicker. Ever since they introduced Act 9 mobs, it's definitely been a little rougher. It's quite glassy, and I am not going to pretend this is a beginner-friendly build. It's not. It requires a lot of gear, and the playstyle for some is a little clunky because you have to stutter step a little bit, and you're using sigils, you're using volatile reversal, and it just has a lot of gear requirements because you need the chance to cast Smite on throwing attack hit idols alongside the Forgotten Knight set. And really, if you can get them, you want Ravenous Void. I don't have Ravenous Void, I've been farming them on this character, it doesn't want to happen. But yeah, let's get into the build guide. Alright, I'll see you guys in a minute. Alright guys, let's take a look at the build at the moment. So this is my level 100 Void Knight. I've had it for a couple patches, that's why the poison res is low. My gear's pretty set at this point, so it's hard to fill out that little bit of poison res before anyone comments about that. It plays entirely around these chance to cast Smite when you hit with a throwing attack idol. We're using Hammer Throw to proc our smites. We have about a 40% chance, or well, used to. It's closer to like 35 now with perfect idols. Let's take a look at the skills. So this is Hammer Throw. We're using the Iron Spiral and the Hammer Vortex nodes to get the orbit. The hammer's spinning around us. This is really nice for clear. If you want to play the build in Arena, I would recommend dropping Hammer Vortex, because it's a lot safer. You just create like a wall of hammers behind you, and mobs will chase you and walk through, and all the hammers will proc the smites. In terms of priority, I would go 1, 2, 3, grab this. Once you've got that, get the 2 extra projectiles. Once you've got the 2 extra projectiles, put 2 points here. Grab Guardian Zeal for the global increased crit chance and global increased damage. And once you've got that, fill out Ballista. Once you have all 6 points in Ballista and 2 tier 1 prefixes for reduced throwing attack mana cost, you'll have a mana cost of 4. If you can get rings with tier 6 or even tier 7, you can actually get this down to a 0 mana cost. Just a little gearing thing to say in regards to the mana cost. If you're running with 4 mana cost, 12 mana regen is pretty much perfect, even with Anomaly up. Eventually you'll run out of mana, but like look, we're sitting here spamming. There's never really a point where you're able to do this, or would ever want to do it anyway. So 12 mana regen is more than enough, and that's just 1 mana regen roll on your gear. Now let's take a look at Smite. So for Smite, the priority nodes are you put 2 here, I would say at least 3 here, then at least 4 here, and then fill out the base crit chance. Once you've filled out the base crit chance, put the rest of the points in sacrifice, and then put 3 points here, and then the last 2, if you get a +2 relic, is fill out the last point here, and the last point here. Smite is doing all the damage in the build once we have Anomaly and Sigils up, along with Volatile Reversal. Give me a sec. Can see, oh, where are the procs? You can see our smites are hitting for close to 200,000 damage. There we go, we see some 200k crits. It's incredibly hard, and the thing is, it like hits so many times because of the amount of hammer throw hits we get. This is very standard volatile reversal for mana back. We're going for time loss vitality. We don't take timeless wisdom because it no longer restores mana. Get both the void rifts, the enemy damage taken. Each rift will proc this, so as a bare minimum, you're getting 60% increased damage when you hit an enemy like that for single target. So in terms of priority, I would put the 2 points in time sap, 1 point in timeless vitality, grab the attack speed, then you grab the 2 rifts and move down into Harbinger of Dust. These should be the last points. Probably these ones first, and then the Traveler's Fatigue and Ancient Reversal. You don't have to put Ancient Reversal here, you could put it here if you want more cooldown. It's entirely up to you. And Sigils, this is again very generic Sigils setup. We're going for Last Wish for the chance to cast some Sigil on kill, Sigils of Despair to convert it to Void, and for the increased Void damage. It's really, really strong. Iron Sigils for the increased armor. It's pretty much the only mitigation we have on the build at the moment. So in terms of priority, I would recommend putting 4 points here, getting Last Wish, then put 4 points here, 4 points here, get Tetragram, and then build up into Sigils of Despair, and your final point into Faith. I didn't mention this, but Faith is really strong. I never used to like Faith, but that health gain, or like when you drop, when you take 25% of your total health in damage, is such a lifesaver in high corruption. The footage earlier, if I didn't mention it, was at 495-ish corruption, so this procs quite a lot, which can be annoying for some people because you'll have to cast Sigils a lot more, but Last Wish does help that. So it's not too awful, and I definitely like running this setup now. And now, Anomaly. I love Anomaly. Any Void Knight build that allows me to run Anomaly, I'm all over it. I love it. We get so much from Anomaly. We get the increased health leech. This just doubles our total health leech. Like, we get so much health leech from Voidmaw. This just gives us some generic base health leech as well, which is really good because we already have so much from the Void Knight tree. We're getting attack speed, which is global, so that actually works for our throwing attacks. We have the time bubble on us, we got the increased crit chance, which really helps us fill out our crit chance, because we're not a paladin, so we're not just getting 200% increased spell crit just for playing the game. The time bubble duration, we got the time bubble effect persists for 2 seconds, so basically I'm just autocasting Anomaly at the moment. But if you're running time bubble duration and this node here, although see right there, Anomaly drops, it persists, the effects, like the buffs, the attack speed, the crit chance, and the leech, all persist for those 2 seconds while it's down. So we don't actually need to put any points into cooldown recovery, which means we can put the 3 points here. Now, there is an argument for going +2, so you can put 2 extra points here, but you really don't need the extra crit chance. So yeah, this is pretty generic Anomaly setup, to be honest, but yeah, I love Anomaly. It's huge, mostly just for the leech and the crit and the attack speed. It's so good, so strong. But anyway, let's take a look at the passives. So this is the base Sentinel passive. We're going for Juggernaut, Strength, Fire, Void Res. Fire and Void Res are nice. Strength isn't huge, but it gives us a little bit of extra armor. Vit, we're scaling Smite with Vitality. We'll talk about that when we get to the Void Knight passives. Armorclad, reduce damage taken from nearby enemies. That and Sigils are pretty much our only mitigation in the build, so yeah, that's pretty good. There's a little health and movement skill, increased cooldown recovery, so that'll help our lunge, even though we don't have that spect. We're running that on our bar instead of Smite, because Smite is being procced from the throwing attacks, and we don't need to have Smite on our bar. Dual wield, because this is a dual wield build. Blade Master for the global attack speed while using a sword. We're using a katana in our offhand. Paladin. Now this tree is up to you a little bit. If you need more elemental res, you can run more points here, and you can like drop points in the endurance or the valor for the health if you want. Again, you could also drop points in the endurance if you have a better endurance blessing than I do, and it's quite a low roll. And now Void Knight, the important tree. So Abyssal Endurance, basically every Sentinel build wants this. Health, Void, Fizz Res, this is huge. Temporal Corruption converts our Smite to Void and gives us global Void damage, flat global Void damage. Spell Void damage, goes without saying again, Smite we want more spell void damage. Void Corruption, this is crit multi per point in the Void Knight tree. We have 68 points, so we have 68% increased critical strike multiplier. World Eater for the void damage leech to its health. So at the moment we're at 6%. We use Anomaly, we bump up to 21% void leech. That is insane. Renouncement to get the vitality scaling with Smite. So we get Smite void spell damage per 1 point of vitality. We're at 53 vitality, so we get 53 void spell damage with Smite. We want 5 points in Echoing Strikes for the increased chance to echo. The hammers can echo and the smites can echo. The hammers, when they echo, can proc more smites. Smites, when they get echoed, just do another smite and do more damage. This is mana and increased mana regen. I mentioned earlier about the belt, like it's 1 tier 5 mana roll and gear. It's actually not. You do need at least 8 points here. I would recommend it. You can drop some, but I just feel 12 mana regen just feels a lot smoother than like 11 or even 10. Eternal Form, Vitality, that's 10 void spell damage and 20% increased health. That's why we have so much life on this build. We're at 3600 right now. Time Legion, this is Time Rot chance and more Echo chance, and then again more Echo chance. So we have a base 40% Echo chance. And wasn't really sure to do the last 2 points, so I just stuck them in Dread for the increased void damage and move speed. You could also put them here for some more vitality, or you could put them in like the Paladin tree, or you could put them here maybe, but those last 2 points are really up to you. That's the skill trees covered. Let's take a look at my gear. Now, there's some important things to mention about the gear. I already talked about the idols, so let's talk about the Forgotten Knight set. You need the Locket of the Forgotten Knight to get the 3% critical strike chance of void skill, so that's very important. You will not be able to get 100% critical strike chance with Smite without this, unless you roll like crit chance on pretty much all your gear. Now, Blade of the Forgotten Knight. This gives us up to 50% spell void damage. We're only getting 53 from vitality, so this is like pretty much doubling our damage right here. It also has the increased void damage up to 70. It also has chance to gain haste, which gives us 30% increased movement speed, and it also gives us global attack and cast speed. Now, the 2 set used to give us percent increased void damage, but now it gives us timer effect, which doesn't really help. But they did buff Locket of the Forgotten Knight this patch, so damage stayed pretty much the same. The chest and helmet, vitality and increased void damage and spell void damage are the most important affixes. There'll be a planner in the description where you can see all this gear. You can see I'm still missing a little bit of life on my character. I could definitely hit 4k if I manage to get these rolled better. You need a Rune Dagger in your main hand with 4 base crit again to get 100% crit chance. You just want crit multi, crit chance, chance to slow, chance to chill. You could also replace the chance to slow, or the chance to chill, sorry, with armor shred, and that would also be really strong, but I wouldn't recommend it because you can get armor shred on your idols anyway, and chance to slow and chance to chill are a lot harder to come by. You would need to get them from blessings. Rings, you want throwing attack speed, and tier 1, only tier 1, throwing attack physical damage and minus throwing attack mana cost, because you don't need any higher than that. Unless you can get a tier 6 or a tier 7, then the minus mana cost will go up to 4 and 5 respectively. Belt, you need mana regen. I would recommend cleanse, and then just lots of HP. Relic, sorry, I always call these idols, always get that mixed up. Spell crit and smite, you want probably frailty there. I would avoid rolling it on your gloves because you just want as much health and throwing attack speed on your gloves as possible. I've got crit chance there, you don't need it. I'm already at 100% without it, but realistically you just want as much HP and throwing attack speed on your gloves as you can get. Again, boots, they're the only other place on the character apart from the helmet and the chest and helmet that can roll vitality. So obviously tier 5 move speed at the bare minimum, tier 5 vitality, and then hybrid HP. Again, it's one of the only items you can get hybrid HP alongside gloves and belt, so you definitely want hybrid HP on them. And then I've got Ellie Res. I don't need the Ellie Res, as you can see, so realistically I'd probably want Poison Res there, so I could cap my Poison Res, or just double HP, or maybe percent armor to help my sigils a little bit. So let's go over blessings. Void Shred. This is your single biggest damage multiplier on the entire build, pretty much. Chance to shred void resistance is huge. We're hitting so much, so you basically cap this instantly. Lightning res to fill out our lightning res on a sentinel. This is really important. Pretty much going to grab it on every sentinel build. I went with all res here because I didn't need crit avoidance. As you can see, I'm at 105%, and this allowed me to cap my necro res and my void res with no investment of void res on gear. And for Herot, I went with cold res, just again fill out my cold res. And at Spirits of Fire, I grabbed endurance percent. I want higher endurance percent. Mine rolled pretty low, 19% out of 27. If I can get a better roll, I'll be able to cap my endurance. It's just, this character, the RNG is not flowing. But then again, I did get the max roll void shred, so yeah. But yeah, this is Turbo Smite. Probably my favourite build in all of last Epoch. It's so fast and so fun. It doesn't feel like any other build in last Epoch to me. I just really love Autobomber playstyles and running around with like 70% move speed and just lunging all over the place. And when you have like all the hammers around you and you just lunge into a pack and it explodes with all the smites, it's so cool. It's really fun to play. I would highly recommend it. It's definitely not a beginner friendly build and it is quite gear dependent, but if you're feeling confident in the game and you have like the idols at the very least, I would definitely recommend giving it a go. If you don't have the Forgotten Knight set, you'll struggle with crit chance, but just get an amulet with spell crit and a katana with crit multi and percent void damage on it, and that'll do the trick until you get this set combination. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I really appreciate it. This was Jay the Product. Check me out at twitch.tv/JayTheProduct. I'm a lot more active there. And yeah, I'll see you guys next time.